Ellie Honig is here with us in our fifth seat, former federal prosecutor in his own right. Ellie, she's in the unenviable position of being hated by a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. What do you think is the real reason that she shouldn't have a job right now?
Well, the reason she shouldn't have a job or the reason she doesn't have a job? The reason she shouldn't have a job is because she carried out Donald Trump's overtly political agenda to prosecute people who wronged him politically. The reason she doesn't have a job is because she wasn't good enough at it. And I do think Pam Bondi can perhaps be a source of cross-ideological agreement. So we have Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Does anyone at this table think that Pam Bondi was a good attorney general? Speak now.
Yeah, I think in some cases she was effective, in others she wasn't. Okay. I think the handling of the Epstein files undoubtedly was botched from the beginning.
Donald Trump disagrees with you because he just fired her, so he doesn't think she was any good.
Well, no, he's not saying that.
The political world is buzzing, and if the latest reports are true, what happened behind closed doors could shock everyone following this story. Headlines are emerging. Insiders are whispering. And fans of politics everywhere are asking the same question. Why did Trump fire Bondi? According to multiple sources circulating online, there are claims that tensions had been quietly building for weeks, long before the official announcement hit the press. Emotions ran high among top advisors, and those close to the situation suggest disagreements over strategy, trust, and loyalty may have played a bigger role than anyone expected. Fans are shocked at how sudden the decision appears. One day, Bondi was reportedly part of the inner circle, advising on critical matters, and the next, the news broke that she was out. Reactions across social media have been intense, with some supporters expressing disbelief and others claiming that the move was inevitable, given the reported internal conflicts. Insiders are hinting that this decision may have been the result of a series of escalating disagreements rather than a single event. Sources suggest private meetings where voices were raised, strategies questioned, and relationships tested.
She had a failed first year, clearly.
Oh, it's a ringing endorsement.
He done it a long time ago. I mean, clearly, she didn't do what he wanted to get done in that particular position over the course of the year. But that doesn't mean that there were any successes.
What's the best thing she did?
Specifically at crime. Crime is down. She's been making a point to go after actual criminals, including cartel-tied cells in this country. She also was the head of the AG's office, as we actually went after the Antifa groups that people pretended didn't exist for about 6 years.
These are great talking points. Let me give you some stats.
It's truth.
Crime is down across the country. That's a great thing. That's a good thing. Pam Bondi presided over the dismissal and closing out of 23,000 criminal cases, federal cases, gun cases, drug cases, violence cases, more than any DOJ since 2004. She got rid of those cases. Why? So they could do more immigration prosecutions. So yes, crime rates fell. You can attribute that to a whole lot of factors. Never believe anyone who tells you.
They were falling long before Trump.
They were falling, but the fact is,
immigration cases.
DOJ.
No crime.
Would you rather prosecute an immigration case or a gang case?
Crime was falling at historic rates before Trump came into office. That's also true. But I want to get to why she was fired, because I think this is important. She was fired because she didn't go after Trump's political opponents. Now, Trump has put in somebody, his former personal attorney, who I presume he thinks, at least on a temporary basis, will do that. Is this where we're at right now in this country, where it's just like one attorney general after another until he gets the prosecutions that he wants?
Well, I think that's a certain conclusion that you could jump to. I mean, yeah, this is the second cabinet figure in a few weeks who's been fired. I think most Republicans would look at that, though, and say, look, Trump is eager to find somebody who is competent. And when you look at the things that a lot of Republicans are eager for the attorney general to do, I don't think the lawfare is, and I think as Jason mentioned, a lot of it's going after Antifa. That's a big part of it. A lot of it's going after some of the foreign money that's funding Code Pink and some of the protests.
But he wants the lawfare. I mean, is that appropriate?
Well, so no, but I wouldn't frame it that way. The same way that you guys didn't frame it when Steve Bannon was targeted.
No Democrat sent out a tweet asking to prosecute 3 specific people.
You had people who said that you wanted to throw
Donald
Trump
from a Democrat
in jail, and you wanted to take him off of a ballot so he couldn't run for president.
Who are these people?
The entire state of Colorado and the Democratic Party.
Okay,
so clearly, this idea. The framing, I think, your point is a valid one when it comes to
that is very
optics.
different from the
Why?
president directing his attorney general in public, mind you, as he did. Pam, I've reviewed the 30 statements. What about Comey, Adam Schiff, Letitia? He publicly, right? He's doing this. It's very different from a state doing whatever they're doing, from a local, district attorney prosecuting a case. That is different. When the president says, why are you not prosecuting these people who I hate?
He believes broke laws.
Okay,
now,
but it's
you
not
can
his place
disagree
to
as
do
to
that.
whether or not they broke any laws, and you can have a fair argument, I think, about the appropriateness of the president doing it. But I do think that the framing is
So
important.
you're defending it then?
I'm defending the president saying someone, in his view, broke the law, and we should be targeting that person. The same exact way Democrats said that about Donald Trump, and it wasn't framed as Donald Trump is being targeted as a political
Jason,
adversary.
you're making that sound as if it's reasonable, and it's not, okay? The president making a unilateral determination in his own mind that somebody has broken the law without providing, by the way, any proof of that, and then directing an investigation into that person is
Calling for an investigation versus
that is not appropriate.
Let me
Okay,
check-
I'm sorry. If you don't like, partisan prosecutions, you should also not like that.
Even if we take it as a given that there was prosecutorial overkill against Donald Trump, and I've said publicly that I believe there was, especially from the state actors, and even to an extent from some of the federal prosecutions from Jack Smith, that does not justify going out and charging Letitia James for mortgage fraud. And that was rejected by a judge and a grand jury. It does not justify charging Jim Comey. I'm no fan of Jim Comey with an age-old, flimsy perjury charge. It does not justify trying to charge Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin for something that is simply not a crime. And if this is going to be the way things go, you did it to me, I'm going to do it to you. Are you okay with, let's say there's a Democrat, hold on. Let's say there's a Democratic president. There will be a Democratic president at some point in this country's future. Are you okay with them saying, this is the game now, we're gonna go seek out everyone on the other side who displeased us?
Unfortunately, that's already a talking point. J.B. Pritzker is already talking about Project 2029 and trying to put Trump officials in jail.
I'm not okay
So
with that.
unfortunately, this seems to be a sort of tit-for-tat thing. And I guess, to your point, I mean, the system is working, right? So there was evidence that Letitia James may have committed some mortgage fraud that was looked into, and ultimately, a jury of her peers decided that wasn't legitimate. So I think there was.
I'm glad the system is working against the person who's actively trying to destroy it. I mean, the beautiful part of America is that we have institutions and checks and balances that are separate from the president. And you can see time and time again, Donald Trump is trying to bully other institutions under his wing. So we can look at Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve. If you look at countries where the president is able to control monetary policy, these are some of the worst countries in the world, right? You do not want the president controlling monetary policy. This has happened in countries like Venezuela. Let's take this over to the DOJ. You do not want the president directing the DOJ to prosecute people, to indict people, and that is exactly what we saw. We just watched a clip of Pam Bondi saying, there will never be an enemies list at the DOJ. Well, Abby just read off an enemies list that Donald Trump quite literally sent out. Has any Democrat, did Joe Biden do that? Is there any example of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or any of them having an enemies list?
Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, people literally
no.
ran on putting Donald Trump in jail. I think we can all agree that there was politicization.
So,
against
but in
Donald
answer
Trump
to
there.
his question, which is important, is there an example that you all can cite of the president directing the investigation
Joe
or the
Biden's staff did
prosecution
not tweet on his behalf.
into
any of
anyone?
that. No, they didn't put it
Okay.
out there in public.
All right, well,
That's the
good.
difference.
I'm glad that we're in agreement on that.
There's agreement on that.
Talk-
The president is more public about this, and I don't think that is a smart move from
It's not that
camp.
he's more public about it. It's that he is doing it when there is zero evidence that it was done by the people that he claims did it to him. You guys are attributing investigations in Georgia and investigations in New York to Joe Biden with no proof. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, it does not make sense.
There was a tradition that the President of the United States, the White House, did not talk to the Department of Justice. When I was in the White House, literally, you couldn't call the Department of Justice and ask about a press release without talking to the counsel's office first and getting clearance. This idea that the President of the United States can direct the Attorney General to go after his individual enemies is going to corrupt the entire system. And it will go, when it starts to be a Democratic president doing this, people on the table will howl when they see it. But I'll say this about Donald Trump. Nobody can program the news better than this guy. He flailed last night. Last night, he gave a horrible speech. He's bad at doing it. I understand why he doesn't do it, because he wasn't very good at it. He didn't give us any headline about the war. And this morning, he dropped this news about Pam Bondi. And now the headline of the news is about Pam Bondi, and we're not talking about that bad speech he gave about last
Don't
night.
worry. We'll be talking about the war coming up. Let me play. This is Todd Blanche at CPAC a couple of days ago, just to give you a sense of what kind of positioning he is in going into this new role.
There is not a single man or woman at the Department of Justice who had anything to do with those prosecutions. Director Patel has cleaned house there too. There isn't a single man or woman with a gun, federal agent, still in that organization that had anything to do with the prosecution of President Trump.
So, Ellie, I mean, there are a lot of problems with that, including that many of the people that they're talking about are just regular civil servants doing their jobs, people who are asked to work on cases and who did them, and they were purged.
You know what galls me about that? So Todd Blanche and I were at the SDNY together. We were contemporaries. We started within a year or two of each other. And he is talking about and ginning up cheers for the fact that they fired people just like what he once was. Third year, fourth year, fifth year, line AUSAs, federal prosecutors doing their job faithfully. I have problems with some of the things Jack Smith did, but to fire the paralegals and the support staff and the FBI agents and the kid on a detail from the Eastern District of Missouri who's in his third year, that's exactly what Todd used to be himself. And to go in front of that crowd, it's a different person. I don't recognize him now. And I've defended Todd Blanche publicly. When he was representing Donald Trump in the hush money case, I publicly said the criticism of Todd Blanche for defending Donald Trump is ridiculous and unfounded. But he knows what he's doing now is dead wrong. And to Jamal's point, the fundamental line that's been breached here, we can argue about who did it, but it's getting worse now, is crossing over prosecution with politics. That's a dangerous mix no matter who's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and look, one of the investigations was into Trump's role in January 6th. And if I'm old enough to remember, Republicans said that that was the way that Donald Trump needed to be punished for what he did on that day. And now all of a sudden, it's some kind of partisan prosecution. Mitch McConnell was on the Senate floor saying that that is the methodology, not impeachment. Take him to court, charge him with a crime. And so that's how the system worked. And now all of those people have lost their jobs because the DOJ is a very different place today than it has been in recent years. Ellie Honig, thank you.
Whispers of betrayals, arguments, and unexpected alliances are making the rounds, leaving people speculating about what really happened. Questions abound. Was this about loyalty, performance, or something deeper that has remained hidden from the public eye? Why now? And what does this mean for the larger team and the unfolding political narrative? Even those outside the immediate circle are weighing in. Commentators, analysts, and fans are dissecting every detail. From subtle gestures to statements that may have hinted at the growing rift. Every clip, every quote, and every social media post is being analyzed for hidden meaning. And the speculation continues to grow. The intrigue doesn't end there. Some reports suggest that personal relationships, long-standing disagreements, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering may have contributed to the decision. The family was left divided, emotions ran high, and the ripple effects are just beginning to be felt. And while nothing has been officially confirmed beyond the announcement, the narrative is already taking on a life of its own. What really happened behind the scenes? Who supported Bondi? Who opposed her? And what secret dynamics were at play in the meetings that led up to this decision? If these reports are even partially accurate, the story is bigger than it seems, full of drama, tension, and questions that fans and observers alike are desperate to see answered. According to the reports that have started circulating, the tension didn't emerge overnight. Insiders claim that the weeks leading up to the firing were filled with quiet confrontations, private disagreements, and moments of mounting frustration that most people never saw. While Bondi had been seen publicly as a trusted advisor, sources suggest that behind closed doors, the dynamics were far more complicated. Several unnamed insiders describe long meetings where strategies were questioned, proposals challenged, and voices occasionally raised. It's being suggested that Trump and Bondi had multiple disagreements on critical issues. And while many were handled privately, some reportedly escalated to a point that made continued collaboration untenable. Emotions ran high during these encounters, with tensions spilling over into private conversations that are now being cited in speculation. Across news outlets, fans are shocked not just by the firing itself, but by the idea that such disputes could simmer for so long without anyone outside the